every day I'm hustling.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Gig Money Podcast. We talk with musicians about the side hustles that they use to fund their musical ambitions. I am Cody.
And I'm Andrew.
And today we have Brad from Mozatronic, Part 1. He is a very acclaimed musician, and he has a lot of cool things to talk about in addition to even doing movie scores. So we're very excited to have you, Brad. Thanks for being on. And
thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, we've been looking forward to this for a while. I think we booked like over a month ago. So awesome. So yeah, we were listening to some of your music before the show started, and yeah, we're very, very much interested in this kind of ambient instrumental stuff that you have going on. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
That's kind of why I went with Mozatronic as my brand name, because I try to fuse traditional orchestral sounds with like an EDM sound. So I might have something completely weird come out. I might have something really magical come out. I really don't care. I write, and then as inspiration hits me, I write it. I'm not writing it for anybody else. I'm writing it for myself. So yeah, I just had one recently that just got released, and I think you guys probably heard it because it just hit Spotify like last week. It's called Longing to Remember.
Yes.
And it's got like a lot of like string movement and a little like vocal kind of thing going on. But it kind of bounces like an Ibiza kind of sound, like an EDM, like in Spain. It just kind of bounces hard, but it's got a melody to it.
Yeah, definitely. This is the kind of music that I think is perfect for road trips because, you know, you get lost in kind of a soundscape as you're passing through different landscapes. And that's always been very, very interesting to me to, you know, just be driving along, especially in the middle of the night, and you're listening to something that has all of this, you know, melodic stuff going on and an interesting beat, and it just keeps you kind of in the place. You know, you want to be focused when you're driving, especially at night. You don't want to end up in a ditch or anything. And this is the kind of music that I find personally really, really helps with that. It's just, you know, kind of soothing and just opens you up.
And I really appreciate that, man. That's really kind of you to say, Cody. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's excellent stuff, and definitely, yeah, keep on keeping on because, you know, like you said, it might come out a little bit weird. It might come out magical, but that's kind of the great thing about music.
Art. The nice thing about art and any type is it's impossible to make something that everybody's going to like because it's subjective. True. So if I can move, you know, 2 people out of 1,000 that listen, and those 2 people really just understand it, I win. So,
yep.
There's no amount of money out there that can make that any better, you know, in my personal opinion. It's like just the response you get from other people from really appreciating your art.
Exactly. You can't beat it. I mean, you guys know, just being up on stage, just getting feedback from people, and you feed off that energy. It's the same thing when you're doing solo artist stuff. I feed off of it.
Yeah, it's that connection. And I think that's the great thing about music is, you know, it's the universal language. Anybody can speak it because it speaks in emotions and thoughts and feelings. And, you know, if you're putting that out into the world and it connects with somebody, then that's what it's all about.
That is exactly, because you guys know you can't make a living unless you're one of the, you know, the 2%ers now. It's almost impossible. So,
yep, that's the truth. You gotta get those side hustles going to, you know, pay your bills. So, you know, we talk about that a lot here. So, touching on that subject, what is your current side hustle? What is
my side hustle? I can't
gig?
really get into a whole lot of detail, but my normal regular job is I oversee construction in the wireless telecommunications industry.
Oh, okay.
Like cell towers.
Cell towers. Okay. Yeah, my wife works for a telecom company.
Okay.
But she does facilities. So it's a little bit different, but you know, it's one of those
I do the
things.
towers. I work on towers for I work for a major company with one of the major carriers.
But any more information, you'll have to kill us, right?
Basically, yeah. Yeah.
Andrew also has one of those kind of jobs, but it's a little bit scarier because it's, well, we won't talk about that.
Yeah, we better not.
Yeah, because he'll have to kill us. I can tell you guys once we're done, but I just don't want to do it on the camera.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, got to keep things, separate. Got to keep separated.
Got to keep them separated.
So let's talk about the next side gig. So I have that. That's my main job. I do 50, 60 hours a week doing that. But as we talked about the movie, so I approached the director for an independent film, showed him a few of my songs, didn't respond. About 3 weeks later, I get a message. Hey, I really want to talk to you about this. I'm just busy. 3 more weeks go by. Same thing. I just pretty much gave up on the guy. And then he reaches out and he's like, I really am interested. Let's have lunch. So I went to lunch. He brought one of his producers along. They listened to some of my stuff and they were interested in having me work on the next film that's coming out next year. But they were filming this film for 6 years because of COVID and everything else. They started 6 years ago and they just finished it. So the composer they had lined up had ghosted them. So after lunch, I went outside, had a cigarette, came back in. They offered me the movie. I've never done a movie before, and it was 2.5 hours long. And I'm proud to say that they've been extremely fair. They paid me when they were supposed to pay me. Everything's been exactly on point. So I'm a professional composer of a movie because I've been paid for one.
Nice.
So
excellent. Yeah.
So that's another side hustle I did.
Sweet. Just based on, the music we've listened to, we know that you can create certain soundscapes that kind of match a certain mood. So we're very interested in checking this movie out. So
most of this film was orchestral, most of it.
Nice.
So
when is it coming out?
So I don't have an official release date. So the premiere, where the staff and the actors and all the people that were involved with it, that's on the 17th. So next Sunday, I'm going to be sitting down and hearing it for the first time, all put together with the film. Because I've seen the film, obviously, I had to, but I haven't seen it all put together with all the audio, the special effects, the everything. I haven't seen that yet. So I'm very, very looking forward to it. My understanding right now is it's likely going to be early to mid-spring. So January to end of sometime in January, probably. And it's going to be on Amazon. It's likely going to be on some of the other ones as well. I know they're looking at Hulu. They're looking at Peacock. But if it goes on Amazon, I think it was 6 countries to start with. It's just an independent film. But these guys put a lot of love and a lot of time into it. I can't tell you about the film. It's kind of a thriller with a little bit of conspiracy theory and some sci-fi in it. So it's pretty interesting. It was a humbling experience, to say the least.
Awesome. Can you share the name of the film so that people can?
The name of the film is actually on my hat here. It's called The Talent Process: Retribution, and it's the first of a series of films.
All right. So yeah, everybody keep an eye out for that on Amazon and hopefully other streaming platforms as well. It's really cool for an independent film to kind of have that platform to go off of. And
have either one of you ever written music for someone to video?
Well, it's an interesting thing personally because I've written a lot of various different it's stock audio, stuff like that could be used behind a video, but never for a very specific purpose. I'm just trying to capture different feelings and thoughts and vibes, and what's going on with a lot of the professional and corporate videos that you see. They always need something, and they don't want to spend a whole lot on it because it's just audio behind a video, just training purposes, stuff like that. So,
and they're usually writing their videos to the audio because you give them audio and they edit to that. See, I had to do the exact opposite. So I had an edited film that I had to write the music to. And
that's completely
it's a lot harder than you
right?
think it might be. Yeah, it's a lot harder than you think you might be. I thought it was going to be easy peasy, man. I did. I thought I was going to go in there and knock it out in a month and a half. It took me 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, I can imagine. You're trying to match exactly what's going on, and tell us a little bit about what you learned from that experience.
I learned you need to you need to get in the head of the director. That's a big one. So out of all the music I wrote, about 80% of it didn't have a whole lot of edits or anything that needed to be done. But the other 20%, oh, no, I don't like this, or I don't like this, or no, this is completely wrong. This needs to be changed and done again. And so for the last 2 months or so, that's what I've been doing, is taking 3, 4, 5-minute scenes and redoing the music entirely, re-editing a little bit. I also learned how to do it all in 5.1, which was also a struggle because they wanted everything done in 5.1. So I had to get a special surround sound system. I had to learn how to do it. The first few times I did it, it sounded great at home, but it sounded crappy anywhere else. So I had to, if you guys have recorded, about the car test, it doesn't work for 5.1. It doesn't work. So don't even try. But no, it's been very humbling because of that, trying to write into the scene, especially when you don't really have a whole lot of information of what they're looking for. So in this particular case, I got a full edit of the movie where the audio wasn't balanced yet. It wasn't finished. And he also gave me another edit with a bunch of stock sounds on the back end. It's like, this is kind of what I'm envisioning. And I didn't listen to it one time on purpose because I didn't want it to influence me. He actually told me later that he really appreciated that I didn't. But yes, it's it's hard. And then also make sure you communicate, because at one point I turned in the whole film and I was really happy with this one scene. And he comes back at me just like, what the hell? This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't work. It's not lining up with anything. Well, I didn't know this and they forgot to tell me, but they rearranged a couple of the scenes in the middle of the film.
Oh.
So I had one edit and I was writing music, and the music I sent to them didn't fit at all into their final because it was different scene orders. Plus they cut 10 seconds out too. So that kind of made another problem. But it wasn't that big of a deal. We took care of it. But things like that, man, there's a lot. You have to learn about the business side, about cue sheets and how sync rights work compared to mechanical license rights. There's just a lot of stuff to know.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I can only imagine like everything that goes into it. And, as a consumer, as somebody who's watching this film, all you really get to see is the finished product. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, they take the audio for granted. They take the, everything that's happening and the score, and it's influencing them in a way that they don't even really realize, because, it's just music. But
if
it's
you've ever
really
watched a
changing.
Show,
yeah.
Without music, it's very, very drab. The music is really what makes the movie. I mean, everybody thinks it's the actors, the scenery, the way it's shot and everything like that. But I think music is one of the most important factors to all movies.
Actually, that brings up a real good point, Andrew, is one of the problems I had going into this, because I just wanted to knock it out of the park. I wanted to kill it. And by doing that, I tried to write a song for every scene. Does that make sense? That is not what theatrical movies are. You write a song for the stuff that's epic. Everything else is just kind of background filler going with the emotion of it. It might just be some chords just very slowly moving. It might be a weird kind of cricket sound. I played around with different filters and stuff. There's a scene where one of the characters, he gets injured. And so part of the music is like the ringing in his ears kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But that was actually, I wrote almost the entire film, and then they told me, hey, we don't really want a song for every scene, then it doesn't make sense. And then you have to think about things like themes. You might have a particular theme for one particular character that you might want to repeat. But if you do, you have to kind of change the variation of it up as it goes along. And that was something that was difficult too. I thought that was going to be super easy, and that wasn't either.
Well, yeah, it sounds like quite the hefty project. So
it was a good time. I don't regret any of it.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to watching the film and checking out the soundtrack to it. And yeah, awesome.
I'll be watching it and going, hey, I know the guy.
I know that guy.
Sound. Yeah, it's Brad.
So out of the 2.5 hours, I wrote about 2 hours and 27 minutes of it. There's about 3 minutes of a local band that I really like, and they had a song that just fit perfect. So I grabbed them and had them sign a release, and I put their song in the film as part of my musical director position kind of thing.
Oh.
So I helped out some friends as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. You have the ability to do that and help out somebody who is local that you also believe in. That's awesome. Awesome. All right. So I am interested about your musical background, about the various different bands that you've been in and musical projects that you've been a part of. I want to hear more about that.
So I started music when I was in the 5th grade. I started on clarinet. Played clarinet, bass clarinet, bassoon, and saxophone up through high school. When I was in college, in high school, I was also a vocalist. I'm primarily a vocalist before I'm an instrumentalist. So I'm a classically trained Italian tenor. So I went to college to be a music teacher. While I was in college, I did the choir, but I also played bass clarinet in the symphony there. I also did like vocal jazz groups. We were featured in front of symphonies and things like that. So that was pretty cool. Then I pretty much dropped out of music for a while. I didn't get my degree in college, got a divorce after 3 years, had to drop out. And I didn't seriously start getting back into music until about 10 years ago. When I was in college, I was a double major for music education and music composition. So I was going to school to be a composer, but then just never did anything with it. When I moved to Texas, I finally had the time, the money, and the means to get back into music. So I joined a band. I auditioned and was accepted in. Don't really want to talk about that band because it had a very ugly ending to it. But
As bands do.
This was pretty ugly. So I don't really give them credit. But when I was with them, we played with Hurt, Smile Empty Soul, Power Mind 5000.
Ooh.
Left them, spent about 3 years just not doing anything. And then joined up, auditioned for another band. We're called As Trust Kills. And that's the band I'm in now. We get compared a lot of times to like Deftones. So we're on the heavier side, but we're not like we're not like that. We're clean vocals. I kind of sound. Actually, my wife the other day, she heard Tool. She goes, "When did you record this song?" Because I sound a lot like Maynard.
Nice.
So, anyways, we've played with for national acts. We've played with Flaw a few times, Edema, Sick Puppies, Trapped. Those are, I think, the big national acts. We played with like a couple like kings in town, like Rivet Head. We played with them, and things like that. We played with Messer. So I mean, we take our music in my band seriously, but once again, we're not in it to make money. Very few local bands actually making money, and my camera sucks so bad. There we go. But so those are kind of things that I've done. So the movie thing, we talked about that a little bit. So the talent process, retribution. So I wrote a few things they're called programmatic pieces. And in instrumental music, programmatic means it's music to instill like a certain feeling or emotion. So I have a song that I have released on Spotify called The Promise. It's full-on orchestral. Did you hear that one?
Yes.
I think that's the one we're listening to.
It's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, it's probably my most proud thing I've ever done. But I wrote 3 total that are like that so far. And so I sent 2 of those to this director guy. And that's one of the reasons I got the film, is because of the way. So when you listen to the Promise again, the idea of it is that you've made a promise to somebody, but it's incredibly difficult to follow through on that promise to finish it. So maybe it's a deathbed confession thing, and you're trying to get something taken care of before a relative passes. Or maybe it's something else, but it's something that's not just like, oh yeah, I promise I won't do that. It's something that's going to take you some effort. So if you listen to that song, it kind of builds, and you're going through and you're trying to fulfill this on a more of a thematic level. Excuse me. There's another one I have on there called The Ballerina. And that one is, you think of like a young girl sitting in her music box. And it starts off with like the music box sounds. And then the little dancer comes to life and dances around the room before returning back to the box and turning into the figurine again. So when you listen to those songs, those are both orchestral, full-on instrumentals. They're not EDMs. If you listen to those again, keep that kind of stuff in mind. I'm going to take a drink of water here. Whew.
That's the bluest water I've ever seen.
Sorry. Yeah. Whew. Isn't it crazy how we got, it's camera, how we don't even talk about flavors anymore? Like, yeah, just give me the blue one. Yeah.
Just makes me go like Gatorade.
Yeah. Gatorade. Water's better. But no, that's kind of where I've been at, man. So my band right now, we haven't played together in over a year. Our longtime guitarist politely backed out just to spend some more time with his family after being with us for many, many years. Love the guy. There was no bad blood, and we've been looking for the right replacement. We think we finally have them, and we're working on music, and hopefully we'll start playing again in February.
Cool.
That'd be good, yeah.
Looking forward to that as well.
I myself, in my personal band, I haven't played since the pandemic started.
Also, yeah.
But
so we got kind of double hit. So right before the pandemic, during that fall season, there was a big tornado that went through Dallas and destroyed our studio.
Oh boy!
So we had to wait a while to get that going. We got that going, moved to another room. Then the pandemic hit, and we ended up we wanted to play so bad that there's a venue in town, and I'm going to drop their name because they're amazing. They're called Six Springs Tavern. And the owners there treat the talent like talent. They don't treat them like some venues are just, well, you're just here for me. No, they treat you like you're the talent that's bringing in their stuff. Yeah. They are fantastic people, super, super nice. But anyways, I had never met them before, and we wanted to play, but we knew that because of the pandemic and everything else, the draw was probably going to be pretty crappy. So we asked them if we could put together a bill where all the bands would pay for free, and all the money we made would go to them because we knew that they weren't making very much because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So they thought that was really nice, and they did. So we got some of our friends, and we played, 4 or 5 bands that played a set, and we all had people come down, and we didn't make a dime, and gave it all to them. It's not like they were rich by any means, but it was a good time. And since then, we built up a pretty good relationship with them. My band, we really don't care about getting paid when we play shows. We just want to play. Because that's where it's all about. Every time you get up on stage, you guys know the energy you feel, and if you're not dead tired the next day or that night, you didn't do it right.
Right.
I am beat down the next day. I don't even know how I would do a tour there, Cody. I am beat down the next day.
Yeah, it's not about pacing yourself. A lot of people think that you have to kind of restrict everything if you're going on tour and doing it every single night, but the trick is preparing yourself and, coming up with some pre-show and post-show rituals that not only get you like in the environment, the headspace where you need to be for the music, but at the same time making sure that your instrument, vocals, guitar, whatever, is taken care of. And, doing those exercises so that you don't hurt yourself, because that's going to affect you the next night. Being very, very careful about trying not to get sick is also crucial, because, a vocalist with a cold is going to have a very bad time. And
yes.
That's usually
how
it works.
I got a good story. Got a good story about that. You ever hear a band called Kilgore?
I have.
They were a new metal band that didn't really go anywhere, but they were on tour with Slayer and Fear Factory. And I was at the show and had an interview with Fear Factory and hung out with some of the guys in Kilgore. Well, the lead singer had 103 temperature. He went up on stage and he could barely move. He went up on stage and freaking killed it. Like, you would have no idea. And when he walked off stage, he almost fell down the stairs.
Ugh.
And I kind of helped him. And I'm like, dude, and I just like shook his hand, and he's like, I'm like, that was in mind over matter, sensei, Jedi master stuff.
Yeah.
And he, "Oh, thank you, man. I'm going to go lay down." I mean, he was just done. He was done. But it blew my mind. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
a lot of
something
times
like
that
that
kind of
happened.
becomes muscle memory. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it kind of takes over. And then that, and, you know, if you're really, really invested in your music, which you should be, that feeling takes over too and kind of gives you what you need to make the show happen. But it's not always easy. And that, he probably should have been hospitalized, 103 temperature.
Yeah, he probably
I guess.
should have. He probably should have, man. But
But
the
the
show must go on.
That's what they say.
Similar with a band that I was in before. We went and did a battle of the bands, and the day that the show came on, I got sick, and I got really, really sick. I didn't have a voice. Of course, I was the vocalist, you know, so that was a really big issue. And I'm, you know, talking to the band, and I'm like, we've had this planned for like over a month now. This has been something that we've all been really looking forward to because we thought we had, you know, some great talent, some good songs and whatnot. And I took Dayquil. I'd taken all these different things to try to make it so that I could kind of make it through the deal. And I got up there and I was absolutely 100% beat. Just did not feel good at all. Go up there and I did the best that I absolutely could. And then when we got done, you know, we didn't win. Well, one of the other bands that was there won, and it wasn't that their music was better than ours. It was just that they were far more energetic. They were more fun to watch because the band I was in, everybody, as soon as they got on stage, they all kind of just stood there. Like, you know, the deer in headlights kind of looked like, oh my gosh, we're playing in an amphitheater and this is not going as well as we hoped it was. You know,
You stayed in your spotlight, didn't you?
yeah, they did. And I was moving around, and I actually walked over to one of the guitars and pushed him, and I was like, come on, move. And he's all like there's all these people here. And I was like, just, you know, and I'm like, I'm the one that has an excuse to be acting, you know, all not doing anything or not moving around or being able to sing. It's like, you guys need to get out there and just move around. And they blamed it on me, and I ended up getting fired from the band.
Oh.
So that was fun.
My band was headlining one of the bigger clubs in town a couple years ago, and the drummer got super sick, like couldn't leave his house sick. But we didn't know about it until the day of the show. So we weren't about to cancel. We were all prepared to go up there, be a bass guitarist and vocalist with no drummer, and just suck it up and do our thing. One of the drummers from the show, from one of the other bands, volunteered to play for us. Had
Nice.
never heard any of our music. I sat in the car with him for like 15 minutes and just kind of gave him a sample of some stuff. I mean, he wasn't amazing, but we had a beat that kept going. And we were all like, the three of us would be like conducting him and giving him advice as we're playing. It was one of the funnest shows I've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very, very like, it was humbling, you know? So, cause we were prepared just to suck it up, but I'm glad we didn't.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. One of those improvisational situations that just calls for a really interesting, different kind of show that not really used to. So
It was a good time though.
well, I think at this point we're going to wrap things up, and Andrew is going to ask you the single most important question that we ask.
It's the talent
Yes.
process, retribution. It comes out in the spring.
That is very important. But we're talking.
That is
All right,
very
go ahead.
important. Yes,
Go ahead,
yes.
Andrew.
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody wants
gotta
to know
sort-
this.
Got to sort the recycling. It's not part of the process, but it's very, very important. Anyway, that's a song. Anyway, so one thing that kind of sets us apart is some things that we prefer, right? So the question is, do you prefer pancakes or waffles?
Waffles all day long.
Yeah.
Yes, we win.
All day.
Another episode. We
I
win.
have I actually
people.
just recently bought like one of the super deep dish Belgian waffle makers.
Oh,
It was really hard to find one that's like super deep, and I just recently got one. So yeah,
How many
waffles all
Belgians
day.
can you cook?
I get just one Belgian at a time.
Oh, nice. That's good.
Yeah, it's kind of like cock push-ups. You only need to do one. So
love Belgians
I don't know
with
what
deep
that is.
pockets.
Yes, it's very deep pockets.
But
My
you
wife, she loves like cream cheese and strawberries on
Oh,
her
that sounds
waffles.
good. Yeah,
So yeah.
Yeah, you got to try making the Belgian waffles that have the pearl sugar in the batter and everything. I think it's actually a little bit more complicated than that. You pour the batter and you pour the pearl sugar on top of the batter and put it in there, and that's like awesome.
I
almost
might
don't
just
need any
have to
syrup.
check that out.
Yes.
I generally don't use syrup anyways.
Yeah.
It's just too sweet for me. I used to like it. You know, applesauce is really good on them though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You could top them with
Yeah.
anything, and the great thing about waffles is they have those pockets. You can
They're freaking
fill it up
delicious.
with whatever
Yes, they
topping
are.
you want.
Has anybody ever said pancakes?
Yeah, and they were wrong.
Yeah.
They're totally wrong. Yeah. Hey, get out of here.
I know,
It's
right?
it's like night and day, man.
I was in disbelief when they said pancake, and I was all, well, "Are you
Okay,
an
but-
alien?" Like,
He did justify it in a very interesting way that might make a difference for a lot of people. And he said that the pancake, when you in a certain context, when you make a corn dog with a pancake and a nice sausage, like a breakfast sausage in the middle, that's what he was talking about.
Well, that's
I
not
was like,
pancake.
yeah, that's a good
then.
idea.
That's like
Not
pigs in a blanket.
necessarily.
That's not a pancake. If you would have started, if you would have said, "Hey, do you want a waffle, a pancake, or do you want like a sausage wrapped up in a delicious pancake dip?" I'm like, "I want the sausage wrapped up in a delicious pancake."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Oh, I used to have these things that I would bring into work that were frozen. It was like a corn dog, except for it had
blueberry
sausage on the
ones?
inside, and then it had blueberry on the outside,
Yeah.
blueberry pancake on the outside. And I was just like, oh, and I would cook them at work, right, during the morning and stuff. And a lot of my coworkers would be like, "That smells so freaking good." And I'm all, "No, you can't have a bite. You can't have any. They're all for me."
I got some in my freezer right now.
Oh, so good. So good.
I got a freezer full of waffles and gluten-free Texas toast because if you can find it, it's awesome. So,
Huh.
Is it?
Yes.
Do they call
Hard
it
to find.
Texas toast in Texas, or do they just call it?
They
Texas
do call
toast.
it Texas toast. Now you can buy Texas toast here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll put a burger on it at Whataburger, and it'll
They
be
will?
the most delicious thing you have ever had.
So here's something, there's always this, I know we're almost done here, but Alaska and Texas have this crazy rivalry where the people in Alaska think Texas is their bitch because they can fit 4 states of Texas and Alaska and all this stuff. They're always trying to one up Texas. So they have a special sandwich in Alaska at the McDonald's that you can only get in Alaska. It's called the McKinley Mac. And it's basically the double quarter pounder, but a Big Mac. So like the big thick patties,
Ah, okay.
but a Big Mac. And
Okay.
they call it a McKinley Mac. Yeah. There you go.
That sounds pretty good.
It's actually is delicious. It's delicious. So
Great. Now I'm hungry.
I would take a Hatch green chili melt from Whataburger any day over that, though. Just saying politely.
I like Hatch chili a lot.
Oh yeah,
A lot.
that's the
A
stuff.
lot.
All right,
I've never had
well,
it. Never had Whataburger either because they don't have them in
It's
Utah.
Well,
It's
Andrew, you're
overrated.
going to come down and visit. You're going to come down and
Yes.
visit soon enough, and we'll take you to all the spots, including Buc-ee's.
Perfect.
You have to go to Buc-ee's.
Got to go to Buc-ee's.
You have to go to Buc-ee's.
Yes.
I brought Cody. You'll get a kick out of this. I brought a friend of mine who was from England to a Buc-ee's. He about lost his damn mind.
Yep,
You'll
that
see,
is the
Andrew.
Definition of excess and
Yeah.
amazingness. It's nothing like a Buc-ee's.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Brad, thank you so much for being our guest on today. And we really appreciate the insight that you've shared with us. And we'll definitely keep an eye out for the movie you have coming out. Yeah, I'll share some links to that when those are available.
I appreciate you guys very much for having me on. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We appreciate you being on. And, that being said, everybody, please make sure to like, rate, and review the podcast so that we can get in front of as many people as possible. It really, really helps us out and pushes the algorithm. So continue doing that. So until next time, I'm Cody.
And I'm Andrew.
See you guys.
muscle then.